Hello everyone, this video is about cell, nucleus, chromosomes, DNA, genes, and all that stuff, all that biology stuff, which I obviously am not too good about, because this, as the title of the video should say, it's a very unsophisticated, rudimentary breakdown of all these things, because I'm an engineering student and this is my attempt at understanding and explaining these things, which I have learned from bits and sections of videos and random pieces of documents that I found on the internet. So, this is what I've understood so far. Do correct me if I'm wrong. This is how it goes. This is how it's supposed to go. Multicellular organisms is the first thing, which is what we are, humans, our bodies, and to go further deep into multicellular organisms is to do a study of cell, and proceeding further down the order of magnitude, we get nucleus, then we get chromosomes, then we get DNA, then we get genes, and then in the DNA we have those A, T, C, G, I think, or is it some other order? These four nucleotides, yes, that's what they're called. Four nucleotides that bond in very specific order. I think it's A, T, and C, G. That's the way. A only bonds with T, and C only bonds with G. And the way they're sequenced in the strands of DNA is the way they communicate. It's like if you were trying to explain this to a person who understands computer code. It's like in a computer language, at the very basic level, at the very fundamental level, it's all ones and zeros. So the way these ones and zeros are written defines or determines the actual message that's hidden within them. And in biological sense, it's these four nucleotides which determine the message encoded within a DNA. Now to start from cell, a cell is simply this thing, this very microscopic object that has different parts and different functions, but the one that I'm interested in explaining in this video is the nucleus. So the nucleus has chromosomes, which is what the genetic material of every species is. So if it's humans, then the genetic material of humans will be encoded in the chromosomes that are present in human cells. So, yes, every nucleus has these chromosomes, and from what I have learned so far is that every nucleus has 22 pairs, and these chromosomes exist in pairs. So, there are 23 pair of chromosomes in humans, and because they are in pairs, the individual segment of these chromosomes, I think, are called chromatids, and so that would make for 23 plus 23, which is 46 chromatids, I think. Yeah, or 46 chromosomes. These are loosely defined terms in biology, as I learned from one of the videos. So, and 22 of them are common to male and female. They are the same for both the genders, but one of them is that's called a sex determinant chromosome. It's that pair can either be X pair or XX, I think, and then one can be XY. And this is what one can be XY. And this is what determines the gender of the human or the multicellular organism that's in question. The multicellular organism in question. And these chromosomes now have DNA. So every chromosome or every branch of a chromosome is essentially this strand, these long strands of DNA which are attached at one point, and it's called a centromere. Centromere. So This is, yes, essentially just a wrap kind of wrappers that wraps these chromosomes, these DNA. That's what chromosomes are. They are things that protect the chromosomes, and bundles them together so that they can be divided easily when need arises. And these chromosomes, so as I said, these chromosomes have DNA, which is what constitutes the whole genetic makeup. And DNA is the biological code for species existence. So this is what I mean when I say these 1011000 things. So a DNA has the specific sequence of codes of the ATCG bonds, and the sequence is like a computer code. Is analogous to a computer code, and it's the same for every species. Well, it differs from individual to individual, but majority of it is the same. And so this is the genetic sequence of every species. Now, in this long code, there are bits and sections which are referred to as by us as genes. So genes may have different kinds of numbers and then all those fancy alphabets and letters bunched up together to make up a name. But I'm gonna call them out as gene 1 and gene 2 for the purposes of the video. And these simply are just bits of the code, which is the long code, that do specific tasks. For example, make proteins, and the other, 2% of the entire DNA, 2% of the entire DNA sequence that we have in us, in humans, which is called the human genome. You might also have heard this as the Human Genome Project. Human genome. And what that is the entire DNA, and trying to decipher what these individual genes do, or what different sections, different codes of different combinations, the A, T, C, G combinations do, and what they mean. But we have identified that 2% of the entire DNA, about 2%, is used up in making proteins. So different proteins that we need for our survival have their original code written in DNA. In 2% of the DNA, the entire DNA strand, which, again, to come back to chromosomes, are a part of chromosomes, which are a part of nucleus, which is a part of a cell, which is a part of the multicellular organisms. And the rest of it, then the rest 98% of it is still a part of of ongoing research in the Human Genome Project. And so yeah, that's how it is. That's what it is. But these genes do these specific purposes, specific tasks. Now, in order to prolong our existence as individuals and sustain our existence as species, and they do it by using a bunch of proteins. And what they do is these certain kinds of proteins, I don't know their names, but these certain kinds of proteins, they take in the DNA strand and split them up into two parts. This helical coil, they take this into them and split them into two different parts, and they use one of them to read the code. They use one of them to read the code of ATCG nucleotides, or in other words, the arrangement of ATCG nucleotides in the DNA, and they read them, and they pass on the information by making a different kind of structure, which is called mRNA, where M stands for messenger RNA. So it's the messenger RNA, and this is what is used to make different kinds of proteins. And obviously, one of which is the one that we are talking about, the one that splits the DNA and uses the sequence encoded within it to make the mRNAs. And these mRNAs, and then there is a protein called ribosome, or some structure called ribosome. Ribosome, that's the name of the structure, ribosome. That uses this mRNA, the sequence encoded on mRNA, to make different kinds of proteins, which are then folded in different convoluted undulations, which are folded in different kinds of convoluted undulations. And this folding is what accomplishes different tasks, and this obviously the sequence also accomplishes different tasks required by